My name is David Bennett. I am 34 years old. I live in Austin, Texas with my son Leo. I work as a marketing director for a software company. On paper, my life is ordinary. On paper, I am just another single father trying to hold things together. But in my family, I am something else. I am the fixer. For as long as I can remember, the dishwasher stops draining. Call David. The car needs new tires. David knows a guy. Mom's property taxes are due and she is short. David will figure it out. My sister's kid needs a new laptop for school. David can swing it. I never minded. Not really. I liked being useful. I liked knowing that my family counted on me. After my divorce, when everything fell apart and I felt like I had failed at the only thing that mattered, being the fixer gave me purpose. It reminded me that I was still someone. That I still mattered. Then came Bali. The idea was my sister's. She had seen a travel video on Instagram, a villa in Ubud with a private pool and a view of the jungle, the kind of place where influencers take photos that get 10,000 likes. She called me breathless and excited. David, we have to do this. All of us, mom, dad, the kids. A family trip, like old times. I hesitated. Family trips were expensive, and since the divorce, money had been tighter than I liked to admit. Please? She said. We can all chip in. It won't be that bad. I agreed. Because that was what I did. I agreed. I spent 3 weeks planning. I found flights that worked for everyone. I booked a villa with 5 bedrooms. I arranged airport transfers, travel insurance, a private chef for 2 nights. I put everything on my credit card. The total came to $13,427. We'll pay you back, my mom said when I told her the number. As soon as we get home. Of course, my sister said. Don't worry about it. I didn't worry. I trusted them. They were my family. Leo was the most excited. He was 8 years old enough to understand what a big deal this was, young enough to still believe. He watched YouTube videos about Bali. He learned to say, thank you in Indonesian. He packed his suitcase 2 weeks early, then unpacked it, then packed it again. Dad, he said, his eyes shining, this is going to be the best trip ever. I smiled. Yeah, buddy, it is. 3 days before we were supposed to leave, my mother showed up at my door. I knew something was wrong the moment I saw her face. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't carrying anything. No groceries, no gift for Leo, no casual. I was in the neighborhood excuse. She just stood on my doorstep, her arms crossed, her mouth a thin line. Mom, what is going on? She didn't come inside, she just reached into her purse and pulled out a card. My credit card, the one I had used to book everything. Here, she said, take it. I didn't reach for it. Why? She sighed. The way she always did when she was about to say something she knew I wouldn't like. We've been talking, your sister and I, and we've decided that it might be better if you and Leo didn't come on the trip. The words didn't make sense at first. They were English. I understood each one individually, but strung together like that, they sounded like a foreign language. What? The kids? My mother said. They've been having some issues. Your sister thinks it would be less stressful if it was just the immediate family. You know how kids are. They need routine. They need stability. I stared at her. Leo is her nephew. He is family. I know, David, but you know how kids can be. They fight. They get jealous. Your sister just wants everyone to have a good time. Behind me, I heard Leo's footsteps on the stairs. He had heard the doorbell. He had come to see who was visiting. Grandma, he said, running toward the door. Are you here about Bali? I packed my snorkel. My mother's face softened for just a moment. Then it hardened again. Not now, sweetheart, she said. I am talking to your dad. Leo stopped. He looked at me. He looked at my mother. He was 8 years old, but he was not stupid. He could feel the tension in the air, the same way you can feel a storm coming. Leo, I said, go up. I'll be there in a minute. He went. He didn't argue. He never argued. I turned back to my mother. You are serious. I am serious. And the money? The $13,000 I spent. Are you still using the tickets I paid for? My mother's eyes flickered. For a moment, just a moment, I saw something that looked like shame. Then it was gone. David, don't be difficult. We'll pay you back eventually. But family doesn't keep score. You know that. I looked at her. This woman who had raised me, who had taught me to share, to be generous, to put others first. She was standing on my doorstep telling me that my son and I were not welcome on a trip I had paid for, and she was acting like I was the unreasonable one. I need to think, I said. Don't take too long, the flight leaves in 3 days. She turned and walked away. She did not hug me. She did not say goodbye. She just walked to her car and drove off, leaving me standing in the doorway, holding my own credit card. I closed the door. I walked upstairs. Leo was sitting on his bed, his half-packed suitcase open beside him. He looked up at me with eyes that were trying very hard not to cry. Are we still going to Bali, Dad? I sat down next to him. I put my arm around his shoulders. I don't know yet, buddy, I said. But I promise you this, whatever happens, we're going to be okay. He nodded. He believed me. I wished I believed myself. After Leo went to sleep, I called Ethan. Ethan had been my best friend since college. We had met in a freshman economics class, bonded over a shared hatred of group projects, and stayed close through marriages, divorces, job changes, and everything in between. He was now a senior litigator at a mid-sized firm in Dallas. He was the smartest person I knew, and he was also the only person I knew who would tell me the truth even when it hurt. It is late, he said when he answered. Everything okay? No, I said. Everything is not okay. I told him everything. The trip, the money, the visit from my mother, Leo's face when he asked if we were still going. Ethan listened without interrupting. When I finished, there was a long silence on the line. David, he said finally, do you have documentation? Documentation. Texts, emails, anything where they promised to pay you back. I thought about it. My sister had sent a dozen texts about the trip, about the villa, the pool, the restaurant she wanted to try. My mother had responded to several of them, and in at least 2 of those exchanges someone had said, "We'll pay you back when we get home." Yeah, I said. I think I do. Good. Screenshot everything. Save it to a cloud drive. Don't delete anything. You think I should sue them? I think you should send a letter, a formal demand for repayment. It doesn't have to be aggressive. Just a clear statement of facts and a request for reimbursement. Give them a deadline. And if they don't pay? Ethan's voice was calm, professional. Then we escalate. I spent the next 2 hours going through my phone, screenshot after screenshot, my sister's excitement about the villa, my mother's assurances that they would take care of it. My father's silence. He never texted much, but his lack of response felt like its own kind of answer. I saved everything. Then I drafted a letter. Dear Mom, on date. I paid $13,427 for flights, accommodations, and other expenses related to the upcoming family trip to Bali. This payment was made with the understanding that all costs would be reimbursed by the family. On date, you informed me that my son and I are no longer welcome on this trip. While I respect your decision, I cannot accept the financial burden of a vacation I am not permitted to attend. Please reimburse me the full amount by date. If I do not receive payment by then, I will have no choice but to pursue legal remedies. I love you. I hope we can resolve this without involving the courts. David, I read it 3 times. Then I sent it. The response was immediate. My phone did not stop ringing for 3 hours. My sister called first. I did not answer. She left a voicemail that I still have saved on my phone in case I ever forget why I made the choices I made. David, what is wrong with you? Against your own family? Mom is crying. Dad is furious. You are ruining everything. This was supposed to be a happy trip, and you are turning it into a circus. You are so selfish. You've always been selfish. Just because you are divorced and miserable doesn't mean the rest of us have to be. I did not call her back. My mother called next. Her voice was cold, controlled. The voice of a woman who had spent a lifetime mastering the art of making you feel guilty for your own boundaries. David, I raised you better than this, a lawyer. Really, what would your father say? What would your grandmother think? $13,000 isn't little, Mom. Don't be dramatic. We were going to pay you back eventually, but now after this, I don't know. I just don't know. I gave you a deadline. You can still meet it. You are impossible. She hung up. My father texted, 3 words. This is shameful. I stared at the message for a long time. My father, who had never once stood up to my mother. My father, who had let her make every decision, control every narrative, dictate every family relationship. My father, who had taught me by example that silence was easier than confrontation. He was wrong. I knew that now. I did not respond to his text. They went to Bali. I watched it happen in real time, on social media like a car crash I could not look away from. My sister posted a photo from the airport, 4 boarding passes held up to the camera, the caption Bali bound, number family first. My mother posted a photo from the villa, the private pool, the jungle view, a glass of white wine in the foreground. Paradise found. My father posted nothing. He never did. I sat in my living room in Austin, Leo beside me on the couch, a puzzle spread out on the coffee table. It was a 1,000-piece puzzle, a picture of a lighthouse on a rocky shore. We had been working on it for 3 days. It was almost finished. Dad, Leo said, not looking up from the pieces, are you sad? I thought about lying. I thought about saying something reassuring, something protective, something that would make him feel better, but I had promised myself after the divorce that I would never lie to him. Not about the big things, not about the things that mattered. Yeah, buddy, I said. A little bit. Because of the trip. Because of the trip. He was quiet for a moment. Then he picked up a puzzle piece. A small piece, blue and gray, part of the sky above the lighthouse, and fitted it into place. It is okay, Dad, he said. This is better. I looked at the puzzle, at the lighthouse, at the sky that was slowly taking shape under my son's careful hands. Yeah, I said, it is. The hearing was scheduled for a Tuesday morning in February. I had never been to court before. I had never hired a lawyer before. I had never imagined that I would be sitting in a courtroom, watching my mother testify under oath about money she owed me. But here we were. Ethan was calm and professional. He had prepared me for weeks, walking me through the evidence, explaining the process, managing my expectations. Worst case, he said, the judge rules against us. You are out the filing fees and my time. Best case, you get your money back and a judgment that protects you if they try to appeal. And what is the most likely case? He smiled. They're going to lose badly. The courtroom was small. A judge in a black robe, a court reporter, a few observers. My mother sat at the defendant's table with a lawyer she had hired, a young man who looked like he had just passed the bar and was still figuring out how to tie his tie. My sister was not there. My father was not there. Just my mother, sitting rigid and pale, refusing to look at me. Ethan presented the evidence, the texts, the emails, the credit card statements, the letter I had sent, my mother's responses. Your Honor, Ethan said. The defendant agreed to reimburse the plaintiff for all travel expenses. The plaintiff made those payments in good faith. When the defendant unilaterally revoked the plaintiff's invitation to the trip, the plaintiff requested repayment. The defendant refused. The judge turned to my mother's lawyer. Response. The young man stood up, His voice was shaky. Your Honor, my client argues that these payments were gifts, that there was no formal contract, that family arrangements are not legally enforceable. Did your client promise to repay the money? The lawyer hesitated. He looked at my mother. She looked at the floor. Your Honor, the lawyer said, the promise was informal. It was not. The judge cut him off. I'll ask again, did your client promise to repay the money? My mother's lawyer swallowed. Yes, Your Honor, she did. The judge looked at my mother. Ma'am, is that accurate? My mother's face was white. Her hands were shaking. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Yes, she whispered, I promised. Full reimbursement of all travel expenses plus court costs and reasonable attorney's fees. Defendant has 60 days to pay. He banged his gavel. The hearing was over. My mother paid within 30 days. She did not include a note. She did not call. She did not apologize. She just sent a check. The full amount, plus the court costs and Ethan's fees. And then she went silent. My sister blocked me on social media. My father stopped responding to my texts. My extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, chose sides. Most of them chose my mother. They had always chosen my mother. I did not explain myself. I did not send angry messages or make public posts or try to win anyone over. I just closed the door. Leo asked about them sometimes. When are we going to see Grandma again? Can I call Aunt Sarah? I answered honestly, in words he could understand. They're taking some time to think about things, buddy. But we're okay, you and me. He accepted this. He was 8 years old, and he trusted me, and he did not need a big family to feel loved. He just needed me. And I was finally learning that I needed him just as much. 18 months later, I booked 2 tickets to Bali. Leo was almost 10, taller, quieter, more thoughtful. The divorce was further behind us. The lawsuit was a memory. The family that had abandoned us was still gone, but the absence no longer felt like a wound. It felt like space, room to breathe. We flew overnight. Leo slept on my shoulder. I watched the map on the screen in front of me, the tiny plane icon crawling across the Pacific, inch by inch, hour by hour, and thought about how far we had come. The villa was not the one my sister had booked. It was smaller, quieter. A 2-bedroom cottage with a garden and a koi pond, and a view of rice terraces that went on forever. Leo ran ahead of me, his suitcase bumping over the stones, his laughter echoing off the walls. Dad, Dad, look at the fish. I watched him kneel by the pond, his face inches from the water, his eyes wide with wonder. I thought about the last time I had seen him this happy, the last time he had looked at the world like it was full of possibility instead of disappointment. It had been a long time. That evening we sat on the terrace and watched the sun set over the rice terraces. The sky turned orange, then pink, then purple. The air was warm and smelled of jasmine and something else, something green and growing. Leo leaned against my shoulder. Dad, he said. I put my arm around him. I felt the weight of him, solid, real, alive. I felt the warmth of his body against mine. I felt the years of worry and fear and disappointment begin to loosen, just a little. Yeah, I said, it is. We sat in silence as the stars came out. One by one, scattered across the sky like puzzle pieces, waiting to be fitted into place. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something I had almost forgotten. Peace. I am not a perfect father. I have been too slow to recognize when love was being confused with obligation. I have let my son down in small ways and large ones, because I was too busy trying to hold everything together to notice that some things were better left broken. But I am learning. I am learning that being a father means more than paying for things. It means teaching your child how to stand up for himself. It means showing him that love is not a transaction. It means demonstrating, through your actions, not just your words, that you do not have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Leo is 10 years old now. He knows what happened. He knows why we don't see grandma anymore. He knows why his aunt's name never comes up in conversation. He also knows that he is loved, that he is enough, that he does not need to earn his place in my life by being convenient or quiet or agreeable. He knows that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. And when he is older, when he has children of his own, when he faces his own version of this impossible choice, I hope he remembers. I hope he remembers that his father chose him, that his father chose dignity, that his father chose to teach him that family is not about blood. It is about who shows up. If you have ever been treated like an ATM instead of a family member, David's story is for you. If you have ever been uninvited from a trip you paid for, told you were too much, or too difficult, or too sensitive, this is for you. If you have ever had to choose between your child's well-being and your family's approval, this is for you. You are not wrong for setting boundaries. You are not selfish for expecting to be treated with respect. You are not destroying the family by refusing to be a doormat. You are teaching the people around you how to treat you. And sometimes, the best lesson you can give is a lawsuit. If you've ever had to walk away from toxic family members, leave the word clear in the comments. The first lesson of fatherhood is this: protecting your child from toxic love is not weakness. It is the strongest thing you will ever do.